human beings with their hands on bars, shackled, in the world are locked up here in the land of the free.
Khalif Browder was walking home from a party when he was stopped by police.
Then they said, we're going to take you to the precinct, and most likely we're going to let you go home, and then I never went home.
The 13th Amendment to the Constitution makes it unconstitutional for someone to be held as a slave. There are exceptions, including criminals.
The loophole was immediately exploited. What you got after that was a rapid transition to a mythology of black criminality.
Some people got the real problem.
Animals, beasts that needed to be controlled.
You better believe it.
I'm only human.
It became virtually impossible for a politician to run and appear soft on crime.
The kinds of kids that are called super predators.
Millions of dollars will be allocated for prison and jail facilities.
3 strikes and you are out.
It was an enormous burden on the black community, but it also violated a sense of core fairness.
Some people got the real problem.
The states were required to keep these prisons filled, even if nobody was committing a crime.
It's so difficult to talk about mass incarceration because it has become heavily monetized.
I'm only human.
The focus is on taking people from prison, putting them in community corrections, parole and probation.
How much progress is it really if now there's a private company making money off the GPS monitor?
We now have more African Americans under criminal supervision than all the slaves back in the 1850s.
I'm only human.
We are the products of the history that our ancestors chose. Products of that set of choices that we have to understand in order to escape from it.
We should go looking somewhere high.
Everybody, come in one more time. Let's hear it. Let's hear it. Thanks so much for being here, man. It's a pleasure to talk to you, and it's an honor to be able to talk to you about Ava Duvernay's amazing documentary, 13th, that came out this year.
Well, thank you for having me. I'm honored to be here and representing the 13th. And Ricky, it's always good to see you, and thank you all for being here, really. And everyone checking us out.
So when did you get involved with this? When did she approach you and say, will you write a song for my film?
Well, actually, she didn't approach me.
Let it into the movie yourself? Went to the edit bay and we're like, just put the song on.
Yeah, it was like the total opposite, actually. But what happened, I found out that Ava was doing 13th, and she was close to her final cut. I had just read The New Jim Crow by Michelle Alexander, and this subject matter was really affecting me, and it was on my heart. And I asked Ava, I said, Ava, I want to do a song. No, even before I seen her, I started writing some verses. I started writing the first verse. And I was on the plane, I remember, and I just started thinking of it, and I was like, well, I just was feeling this subject, man. I had to speak it and express it. Well, I saw Ava at the president's birthday party at the White House, and I had no
big deal.
Yeah, I had a little bit of the wine, so I was feeling pretty good. And I went up to Ava and started saying, look, I got a verse written for, and I started rapping in her ear the first verse of Letter to the Free. And she was paying attention, but I didn't know. She told me later the president was like 5 feet away from us, so she was trying to pay attention to me, but she was paying attention to him too. And but she heard enough where she said, I'm going to send you the film. She said, okay, I still have people submitting songs, but I'll send you the film, and you can finish writing your song, and if it works, it works. And I just got Robert Glasper and Kareem Riggins, who produced it, and went and got Bilal to sing and said, man, let's create this. This is dealing with slavery. We're talking about slavery to Jim Crow to mass incarceration, how we've been devalued as black people and dehumanized and the marginalization of us. And I just gave them the context and, watched the film, and then we just created the song. And I got to tell you, even after we created the song, I sent it to her. She said, call me. I called her. She said, I love it. But she's like, but do you think they're going to say we doing the same thing again. You just did something for Selma. I was like, do you know how many times Martin Scorsese works with Robert De Niro, or Martin Scorsese works with Leonardo DiCaprio, or how many times Ava Duvernay has worked with David Oyelowo or Jason Moran, who scores her films? So I kind of won the argument right there. And
you dug in.
I dug in. I was like, I got to be a part of this. So that's how I became a part of this film.
Now, I have to ask, I want to talk more about the film and the subject matter that the film talks about, but what's it like for you right now in the wake of Donald Trump about to become president and the rhetoric that he used throughout the campaign that we see in the film, and to be telling this story to be at Barack Obama's birthday, where his attorney general's main concern was criminal justice reform, and you and Ava Duvernay are at Barack Obama's birthday party, and you are doing a verse in her ear about the book, The New Jim Crow, and she is working on a documentary about this, and it's all in the halls of power at the same time, so these conversations are happening. What's it like to have that experience just a few months ago, and to be going into January with what seems to be our soon-to-be future?
We got a lot of work to do. I have to say that we have accomplished a lot by having our first black president in place. A lot of the things that we see are happening when it comes to the gay rights and transgender and women's rights, what we're fighting for. We can't forget that we've made some progress. And though, the president-elect doesn't seem to be, those things don't seem to be on his agenda, we still have to remember the power is in our hands. We are the people. And first and foremost, when we think about on a social level, how we treat one another is going to be very important. And how we listen to one another, and how we respect one another, and how we go to bat for each other and support each other. Those are some things that our president has nothing to do with. But when it comes to the policies that do affect our lives, we're going to have to stand strong and work from the state and local level too, work from community building levels. This is a chance for us to from spiritual levels to social levels to economic, to empower ourselves. And we know this country and its people have been through a lot, and I don't feel like we're going to go backwards. I feel like it's just awakening, bringing some of the issues up to the surface that still existed, obviously. And we just going to have to deal with those things, and starting with love and standing up for each other and coming together more. And I don't know all the answers, but I know we can do it, and I know we will do it. And I celebrate our president and first lady. We've had a beautiful experience with them, as far as just seeing people in the White House that care about all of us and that make efforts towards all of us. So I celebrate them, and I don't forget that, and I want to keep that going. Our president is already doing stuff with my brother's keeper for when he gets out, as you said, with prison reform. Not only was it Eric Holder, but our attorney general, but the president is about that too. So we're just going to have to keep the fight going. We got to keep the fight going and fight even harder. And that fight starts with love.
Absolutely, absolutely. The New Jim Crow is a phenomenal book. And I think for a person who works in news and covers a lot of these issues over the course of a few years, while I've worked in news, when a documentary like 13th comes out, there's a part of me that's kind of I know about that stuff, right? I know about that stuff. But then I sat down and watched the 13th, and she does an amazing job of connecting the pieces and making it even more powerful by putting them all together in this one piece. What was your feeling the first time you watched the film?
I just said, man, Ava she's a gift to us. She's a gift to this planet, because the way she connected the pieces, connected the dots, you didn't have to believe that mass incarceration is something that's been plaguing us for decades. You didn't have to believe, actually, that it even was related to the method and the mentality of slavery. But once you watch this, it's undeniable. it's like kids in high school have watched it and been affected. My friend had his 10-year-old son watch it with him, and the next morning, his father, this was like during the election time, I mean, his son asked, was Donald Trump part of ALEC? Now, ALEC is this group of people of business people and who've organized to basically help support prisons being the big business that it is. And when you start like looking at Ava's film and because I read the new Jim Crow and I've been studying it, like you think you have all the information because the new Jim Crow is a beautiful exploration of it and telling, and Michelle Alexander, who's in the film, it just tells it like, man, that's what made me read the new Jim Crow, because I met her and I was like, oh my God, I gotta read this. Well, Ava does such a powerful job in letting us see these things and see what's going on right in our faces right now. When we've seen some of the killings and of young black people, it was all extensions of the mentality that had come from slavery to Jim Crow to mass incarceration. Like, even, when you think about some of the police force that are out there, they actually an extension of the criminal justice system, and they kind of the frontline people. So you almost have to have an understanding of like they kind of are operating on what they're being told and some of their experiences. So we kind of got to get to the root, we have to get to the root of the problem and deal with it on that level, which is the system. And then, hopefully that can trickle down to how the police and the police force look at us and treat us. But when she got into it deep. You understand it and you feel it on an emotional level. So when I saw 13th, I was just like, man, more people need to see this. I called my daughter, who's 19, like, did you watch 13th? She had just watched it on the first weekend it came out. I was just happy that she did. And the word has been spreading across the world. It's part of American history. We got to tell this story.
Yeah, I think there we go. I think one of the amazing things she does by tracking slavery to mass incarceration is also sort of bring up white supremacy and how culturally, as a society, America is built off of white supremacy, whether people want to admit it or not. They want to believe that everything is equal. But when you have a system that starts at the top with slavery and moves into mass incarceration, you have essentially a mindset, a trickle-down mindset of white supremacy that you see African-American people see in their daily life. And white people have a really hard time confronting that.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and I think that's why we need these films. We need these conversations because we have to confront these issues. We have to put it out there. Like, as black people, we can't be afraid to talk about it and talk about the pain and the hurt that it has caused. And as white people, they have to talk about, like, hey, this is how we felt, or acknowledge it and get through it. Like, it's like any type of therapy or healing, you got to put things out on the table and express it. You can't hide from it. And like, art in many ways gives us a chance to put it out there and start the conversation, but then we have to be active towards the healing. And I think, what 13th is a conduit to healing. It's like it's a catalyst to get us to heal and to get us to a better place. And I think, the white supremacist thought, it's hard for liberal white people to feel like, man, this country is really like thinking white supremacist, because they don't think like that. But it does, and we got to see that right now. So now that we see that, we think about how do we rectify that. And it's not one solution. It's not one organization that's going to do it. When we talk about 400 years of oppression and like 400 years of brainwashing, it's going to take time. It's going to take time. We're going to have to evolve, have those tough conversations, have those disagreements, and then have those strategy conversations and organizing things from that perspective. And one thing I've, continued to learn and feel is like, I don't have to agree with everything you say or believe, or you say or believe, for us to work together, or for me to love and respect you, or for us to go in the right direction together. I don't have to agree with everything. Like, and even if you're living in the same home, it's like, you don't have to agree with everything. That's what America's supposed to be. We should have our own perspective and vision and thought and feelings, but be able to do that in cahoots with others and work with others and figure out a way to make it all happen, because it can happen.
We should all at least be in agreement to evolve and grow together, no matter what our opinions are.
Yes. Yeah, and I mean, like, growth is, if there's one thing I'm dedicated to in my life, is growth.
Always want to be a better person. Always want to grow, you know?
Simple as that, man. I know that I don't know everything. I know it's a lot I have to learn. I know I still have my flaws. I make my bad choices, mistakes, but I'm willing to grow, and I'm willing to learn from others, and hopefully, God willing, I'll be growing till I leave this planet.
It's kind of a simple-minded thing to say, but it's one of the things that I've never understood about sort of subtle racism in this country, is when someone says, hey, I didn't like that. That was kind of racist when you did that, or that made me feel this way. And someone goes, no, it wasn't. Right. No, it wasn't. It's like, no, just listen to that person and use this as an opportunity to grow.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. I mean, because it's important that we do listen and understand that, like, somebody's perspective may not be your perspective, and the way they received it, it may feel racist to them. And then in a discussion, if you have the opportunity to have the discussion, then maybe you'll discover, maybe that person could discover why you said it and say, oh man, maybe you didn't intentionally want to make that racist, but that's how I felt. And you can express, well, this is why I felt this way. And that's where the healing comes in. Like, that's where, like, we get to a better place, because it's like, you telling your real feelings, this person is telling their real feelings, and we have an understanding. You know, honestly, as I started working on myself more and dealing with myself, that's when I started becoming even more compassionate towards other individuals, because we all got some shit with us. You know what I'm saying? There's something under there that we all done been through. Like, it's just simple as that. And we can I can come up here and do interviews and show you the best sides of me as possible, but I still got some shit with me too. You know what I mean? And it just is what it is. And when we able to put that out there and deal with it, then I know for myself, that's how I've grown. I've grown by acknowledging those things and talking about it with people and dealing with the issues. So Ricky, I'm so glad that you're saying that. Like, it's like, if I say, man, that felt racist to me, it felt racist to me.
Yeah.
You know, that's just what it felt to me. That might not have been your intention.
Take a second. I should take a second to be like, oh, well, what did I do? I'm sorry. You know.
Yeah. Well, listening. I think listening is one of the biggest keys to our growth, and one of the biggest keys for me as an activist. Listening is one of the first things I try to do. Like, I go into a community and I listen to what they need, how they feel, and then I see where I may be able to fit in. Some places I may not have anything right there at the moment. Some places I will right then and there. But it's important for me to listen so I know what a person is feeling, know what they're experiencing, because I'm not in Ferguson. So I want to hear from the people of Ferguson what they've experienced. I grew up on the south side of Chicago, but I'm not living on the south side of Chicago right now. I need to hear what they're experiencing. I'm not in Indiana right now. I want to hear what the people are experiencing, why you feel this way. I'm not here to judge. I'm just here to learn and grow, and then figure out how we get to that better place that we keep talking about. But I've been in the hoods of Chicago and said and listened, and I've learned more and been able to do more because of that.
It's my biggest fear that this incoming administration and the voters that put them in, that we're moving into a culture that is afraid of growth and evolution rather than listening and growing as a nation together. It's one of my biggest fears.
Yeah, I mean, well, look, growing can be painful sometimes. Yes. But we got to endure that pain if we want to grow. Like, this, you know, this country is not perfect, and it's time for some growing pains, which have been there for a lot of people throughout, like been there for black people for a long time and brown people for a long time. But it's time for us to grow out of that, like that, where that white supremacist mentality does exist, where that white nationalist, where that ignorance exists, we got to get past it, and not in a way of pointing the finger and blaming or judging and saying you a fool for this and that. But it's like, man, like we just said, just giving it a listen, but then standing up for and not allowing that to be part of America's fabric anymore. And you know, I feel like I want to, through example, educate the people that we can, like the people that may have been like, man, I'm voting for Donald Trump for this reason and that reason. Well, some of them just didn't know, and some of them did. And those that didn't know, we need to let them know, like, well, this is where the truth lies. And I guess some of that will come through experience. And then those that did know, man, hopefully they can see another side and know that just because this country grows into a multicultural land that is supposed to be the land of the free that we know it's supposed to be, just because this country grows there doesn't mean you're going to lose out. You don't have to lose out just because other people are getting their rights or getting opportunities. It's a way for us all to exist, and you don't have to be fearful of the growth of America into a new place. And that's what we've been experiencing when you have that mentality of, oh, no, we want America to stay. We're going to take it back to this. No, we're not taking it back. Life moves forward. It evolves.
Whether you wanted to or not.
Whether you wanted to or not.
Life moves forward.
You're not God, so you can't stop the world from moving and stop the country from moving forward. So, no, we're not going back. We're going forward. And
100%.
yeah,
Absolutely.
and as we go forward, we do it the way we do it.
In the middle of this beautiful conversation that we are having, I am going to ask you a sleazy headline-grabbing question, and I apologize for that right away. And the question is just going to be this: Kanye, Trump, go.
Well, Kanye is my brother. That's my brother. I love him. He's a friend of mine, and everything that Kanye does, I don't necessarily agree with, but he's still my brother and my friend.
Makes great music.
He's one of the best musicians we've seen in this day and age. I necessarily, you know, from what I haven't talked to Kanye directly about this, but from what I've seen, he said he went in to talk about Chicago and talk about the violence going on there and how that can be changed. If that's his intention, I definitely don't want to knock that. I don't want to knock that. If that's what he went in for, I'm supporting that 100%. Me, I won't, you know, I don't think Trump is going to do anything about that anyway. So if to answer, would I be willing to go meet with Trump? I wouldn't do it. You know, it's just not necessary for me right now because I see where his head is going. So I feel like my work is being done more with the people and meeting with people that are doing things on other levels that I know are sincere about it. But, you know, I don't knock Kanye because he operates in his ways, but I can't disagree with certain things he does no matter what, but we're still brothers.
I can't imagine someone who said, you're living in hell, what else do you have to lose, is that sincere about fixing anything in Chicago.
Yeah, I mean, well, we know that. I mean, come on, like this. I mean, for me, I look at people's track record too, and we all evolve and change and grow, but if we haven't seen anything in, how many years has he been on this earth? How old is Donald Trump?
70, right? 71?
Okay,
70.
well, if we haven't seen that in that many years of, you know, I don't think it's going to change right now he's going to really be like, I'm about to help the people of Chicago.
No, all we've seen is him get sued for kicking black tenants out of his apartment buildings.
Yeah. So we know what that, you know, what that history is. But, you know, I'm like, Donald Trump is not greater than God. So, like, I'm like every one of us. When the election happened, I felt like down. I couldn't, you know, for a second I just was still. I couldn't move. But then I started thinking about, man, wait, like nobody is greater than the Creator and nobody's greater than the people. And this is going to be one of the times that activates us on a higher level where we deal with our higher selves and look past all these borders that we put up. And we are awakened. People are awakened and paying attention and aware. And I think that's going to catapult us to a higher place than we ever been. And young people are energized, middle-aged, whites, blacks, older people that are for progress are energized. And I look at things like, now I see things like, as tough as a fight may be, we're going to be at a greater place than we ever seen in this country.
Absolutely. Before I turn it over to the audience, we haven't talked about, you just released an album last month, right? Black America.
Yeah.
And the song from 13th is on the album.
Yeah. The song Letter to the Free, which is from the 13th, I was able to put it on my album too. My album is Black America Again, and really, I entitled it Black America Again because I wanted to talk about writing a new story for Black Americans. It's already been there as far as the quality, meaning the jazz music, the family, the joy, the genius of Black people in America. But so many times we see the criminalization. So many times we see us being shot down. So many times we see, like, our history over and over has been, in this country, has been of that marginalization. Well, I called it Black America Again because of that, but I also said we are rewriting the story, writing a new story. And that story is just showing the Black humanity in a way that's just natural. The album has love songs on it. It has a song called The Day the Women Took Over. It's fun. It's like, it's spirited. I think all of that is the Black American story. Like, the Black American story is with Ava Duvernay. It's with James Baldwin. It's with the teacher that's in on the South Side now, working at Park or at Robeson High School, trying to do right by the people. Our story is not just written only by us either, because we all in this country together. So it's also in the support and the way we worked with each other. So I wanted to show that in my album, and of course the album is socially conscious, but it's also just the joy of Black life, and that's the Black American story.
Absolutely. That's beautiful. Let's open it up to the audience for questions. Who is it? Right here, sir?
Hi, how you doing? First of all, I'm a big fan.
Thank you.
And before I get to my question, I think your performance for Glory at the 2015 Oscars was one of the most beautiful and powerful performances of all time.
Thank you.
Now, with that being said, so you have multiple Grammys, you have a Golden Globe, and now an Academy Award. So you're almost solidified into the Hip Hop Hall of Fame. What's left for you to strive for? Like, what are your goals now?
Thank you for all your comments. And my goals now is to, I definitely, as an artist, want to keep getting better. Like, I want to get better as an artist, just from every aspect. As an actor, I want to get better.
You're doing a lot of acting these days. You got like 5 movies coming out, right?
Yeah, man. I mean, I love acting. I'm as passionate about acting as I am about music. And I've been like that since a kid. I just never knew I could be a part of the acting force, because when I was a kid early on, I say this jokingly, but it was something like I was in a play, and I was in A Christmas Carol, to be honest, and I was Tiny Tim, and one of my best friends was in the play, and after the play, my mother just kept talking about how great my best friend was, and she ain't say nothing about, not too much about me. So I kind of felt like my acting wasn't at the level it should be. But anyway, I eventually got over that.
She shut you down early.
Yeah, early. But I got over that, and I love acting as much as I do music. So I want to grow as an actor, grow as an artist. I want to do theater at some point. We have a production company, a film and television production company called Freedom Road. Definitely want to, we got some things moving forward. Definitely want to make that flourish the way it could. And I also want to grow as an activist. I want to learn more about what policies that I can get out there and work and help change things that I'm passionate about. And more than anything, just do God's work on this earth. That's what I want to do most. So that's what my goals. That's where my goals lie.
I have a question for you about the song Glory. It's such a beautiful song, and it's also about a historical moment, 2 historical moments, and it's incredible. But following its release and its popularity, I would turn on TV. It was used in everything, and I was like, guys, you can't use Glory for this like American Idol moment where this kid, like, they overcame like someone in their English class telling them that they couldn't sing, and now they can sing, and it's like Glory. What was that like? Did you notice this? What was that like for you?
Well, I mean, first of all, I have to say I was really moved by the times I would see like people in their churches singing Glory or
That's
like,
beautiful, yeah.
And you know, in their graduations. I didn't see it being abused as much, you know, maybe because I don't watch the most popular shows as much, but I did hear about some people singing it on American Idol, and I don't have a problem with that. Like, shoot, sing it if you're singing it from your heart. But to misuse it would be like disrespectful. And I have to say, I mean, I would have to talk to my team about how did they get clearance to use that at that stripper session. You know, that ain't where you do Glory at, right? But anyway, yeah. So I've seen it. I mean, one of the most rewarding things for me is when I see little kids sitting there clapping and singing Glory. So I'm grateful for it, and hopefully, you know, it'll continue to be a song that people feel motivated by.
Absolutely. Next question.
Hi, it's great to see you. It's cool knowing that you have a daughter who's 19. I'm 19 as well, so that's a cool thing.
I could be a cool dad.
I know, right? I also wanted to say, and this does still follow on the topic of Glory, 2 years ago I was given an assignment to pick a song and then draw something about it. So I chose Glory, and I made this piece called Black America before I even knew about your album or anything like that. And it's a picture with a fist that's in the form of a tree with shackles on it, and above it is a crown with the American flag, and on the shackles, one side is a slave, one side is a kid in a hoodie, and in the front of it is an American eagle in shackles. And so I was wondering, if you were giving the same assignment, what would your image, let's say, of Black America be?
If I was given an assignment to draw what Black America is?
Yes.
I would probably have like little black girls playing and swimming. I would have a black director of photography somewhere, you know, shooting a film, a beautiful film. I would have the black bus driver sitting there with his family eating dinner and like enjoying a football game later. I would have, you know, a gay black couple just enjoying life and going on a romantic dinner. I would have Martin Luther King like is one of the angels sitting right there, and Malcolm X and Marcus Garvey and Marvin Gaye and Bob Marley. That rhyme, right? You know, yeah. And I would just, you know, just show the joy. I have a sun shining on us, and then like our hands out, inviting everybody to come in and enjoy in that black picture.
Then a Donald Trump supporter would walk by that mural and go, "Hey, how come there aren't any white people in there?"
Well, that's why the hands is out. Come on, let's go.
I think I have time for two more questions right here.
Hi, it's nice seeing you. I'm a big fan. I want to know, in pursuing your dreams, what was one of your biggest struggles? And also, Come Coast happens to be one of my favorite songs. I want to know, what was the mental state or the motivation behind making that song?
Well, one of good questions, and one of the biggest challenges I had was early on was truly believing in myself, like really believing in myself, like because I felt I was a good rapper and I was like, man, I'm dope, but I faced a lot of challenges because when I came out, it wasn't like my music was well received. Like it was like I came out and it was like I didn't sell that many records and I didn't become one of the hip hop guys that people knew. Like I was on that underground level, and it continued to be that climb for me. So I had to really work on like keeping the faith within myself and truly believing in myself when you don't like, you're not getting the record sales, you don't hear your record on the radio, or you don't like have everybody singing to your songs, but still believing in you because it comes from within. That's what I had, you know, early on I felt like I didn't have. And, you know, you still get those battles. There's times where certain things like I might not get a role or whatever for something, and I'm like, damn, you know, I'm still like, I still got to keep that belief that I'm, you know, on the path that I'm supposed to be on. Everything is mine, I'm going to have, and if I put that energy into my craft and into my gifts and into my purpose, then it will resonate and it will be in the world the way it's supposed to be in the world. And Come Close, I wrote that I was in love with Erykah Badu. And I just kind of took pieces of that love and pieces of just other thoughts that I had in my imagination and just wrote that song. And, you know, Pharrell produced it. And, man, I was just really grateful to have them and Mary Blige on the song, who's one of my favorite artists. So it was just an act of love, really, to be honest. But, yo, can I kick a verse from 13th?
Please.
Okay, so before I get out of here, I just want to say some of what I wrote for, it's called Letter to the Free from 13th, Ava Duvernay's film on Netflix. It starts, Southern leaves, southern trees we hung from, barren souls, heroic songs unsung. Forgive them, Father, they know this knot is undone, tied with the rope that my grandmother died. Pride of the pilgrims, affect lives of millions. Since slave days, separating fathers from children. Institution ain't just a building, but a method of having black and brown bodies fill them. We ain't seen as human beings with feelings. Will the U.S. ever be us? Lord willing. For now we know the new Jim Crow, the stop, search, and arrest of our souls. Police and policies patrol, philosophies of control. A cruel hand taking hold. We let go to free them so we can free us. America's moment to come to Jesus. The caged bird sings for freedom to ring. Black bodies being lost in the American dream. Blood of black being, a pastoral scene. Slavery still alive, check Amendment 13. Now whips and chains are subliminal. Instead of nigger, they use the word criminal. Sweet land of liberty, incarcerated country. Shot me with your ray gun and now you want to trump me. Prison is a business, America's the company. Investing in injustice, fear, and long suffering. We staring in the face of hate again, the same hate they say will make America great again. No consolation prize for the dehumanized. For America to rise, it's a matter of black lives. But we gon' free them so we can free us. America's moment to come to Jesus.
Was that the verse you told was that the verse you told Ava at Obama's party?
Yeah, the first verse. I just put the two verses together that I just rapped for you all. That's the whole song as far as the lyrics go. But the first verses, I started with that southern leaves, southern trees we hung from. Barren souls, heroic songs unsung. Forgive them, Father, they know this knot is undone. It's tied with the rope that my grandmother died. It's the pride of the pilgrims, bless you. Anyway, it's the pride of the pilgrims, affect lives of millions. So I started kicking that in her ear, and it went from there.
She had President Obama right here, and you right here, and she's going,
Yeah, exactly. But I'm still going. I'm like, yeah.
I think we have to wrap it up and comment. Black America is in stores now, right?
Yeah,
and on
Black
iTunes.
America, again, is in stores now.
And 13th is on Netflix right now, and both of which are phenomenal. Everyone should check them out if you haven't already. Common, thank you so much for being here, man. Such an honor to have you. Thank you.